Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar. It's spring. I'm here in the daylight. How nice is this to be here with you all? Have a little change of presenters. I am delighted to say I'm going to be joined by one of our new colleagues in the ThingLink team, Joseph, and I'll be introducing Joseph to you very shortly. But alas, there is someone who wanted to be here who isn't here. And that is our dear Claudia is not very well. So Claudia is joining us, but she's joining us in the chat only. So if you can all give a collective sending Claudia lots of love and get well wishes, because she is absolutely gutted that she's not here with us this afternoon, this morning. So hello to you. We've got lots of people joining us. We've got people from Egypt, from Scotland. Hi, Amanda. Alan's joining us from Florida. We've got people from Utah. We've got people from Oman. Welcome to you all. And here we have Amanda saying, yeah, get better soon, Claudia. This is most unlike you. So lots of love coming to you from everybody. Wishing you get well. But you're going to be in the chat. You've shared your examples with us and you're going to be on hand to answer any questions as well. So as usual, we love to hear where you're from. So do drop that in the chat and ask questions. This is your webinar and we love it when you ask questions because you might just say something that someone else is thinking, and we also like to put them on the screen and make sure that we answer them on the go. Don't you just hate it when there's a Q&A at the end and of course you've forgotten your question by the time you get to the end? So yes, and you will get an email after the webinar, which will have links to the decks and anything else that we share with you. So look out for that email that you'll get afterwards. And of course, it has the link to the recording as well. And you are welcome to share that with your colleagues. So as usual, I do have a lovely deck which you set out full of information, which serves us as a guide as we go through our webinar. Firstly, I just want to say apologies to anybody in the US who has had a time difference, because it's that funny time in the year when some of the states change to daylight savings and some don't. So you're all here, which is the main thing. And as a good reminder, if you ever wonder what the time zones are, if you add the calendar to your own calendar, the invitation, it'll reflect your own time zone. So always do that. Anyway, enough waffle. So as I mentioned, we do have a new person joining us this evening. We are delighted to welcome Joseph Mayo to the team. Joseph is one of two people who have just joined our ever-expanding ThingLink team. And Joseph is joining us from Italy. Hi, Joseph. How are you? Welcome to the webinar and welcome to the team.
Thank you. It is amazing to be here in ThingLink, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm sorry about Claudia. Hi, Claudia. I hope you're feeling better, but I'm excited to participate.
Thank you, Joseph, for joining us. And we'll look forward to doing another webinar exclusively with you for the whole webinar another time. I know that you can only join us for half an hour today, so we're lucky to have you for that time. And you were maybe to blame for Claudia not being here because you were at Didacta, which was the learning festival. And that's just the way, isn't it? You go to a learning festival or a get-together and then you meet so many people and you're shaking hands and giving people hugs, and invariably you come away with some kind of lurgy. So we hope you didn't give Claudia the lurgy.
It wasn't me.
But Joseph, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I come from a publishing background. I have been working in educational publishing for about 12 or 13 years. And before that, I was a teacher. So I come to the edtech space with kind of the educational content background, and I started playing around with immersive spaces after COVID. We were looking at ways to kind of reintroduce digital back into schools, and so we were trying to think about ways in which we could still keep all of the good things that we learned during COVID and bring them back to school.
and you are our immersive learning specialist, and we're going to be talking about immersive learning spaces a bit, because I believe your previous role was where you were showcasing the immersive learning spaces and all the benefits that can bring to schools and for young people's learning experiences.
Indeed, right. So in my last role, we had a project where we were bringing immersive spaces into schools. We installed over 100 of them last year alone here in Italy. And so I've got all sorts of different insights about immersive spaces, just kind of like all of the compromises that you need to make in order to have an immersive space that will work well in schools or in public spaces.
And as we've seen from the evidence, there is a movement now across Europe thinking that immersive learning is really transforming education. And we're going to be looking at that in a short moment. Also coming up in the webinar, we're going to be taking a sneaky peek look at what is coming next. Oh my goodness, Joseph and I were on a development day call all day, and there's some amazing new things coming to you all. And also you'll have seen there's a glow up, and we'll be looking at that as well. So also to introduce, we have joining the team another colleague called Troy Phillips. You can get hold of Troy at troy@thinglink.com. And he's based in Connecticut, but he's covering all of US, and he's going to be working with our K-12 partners. That's districts, that's educators, that's anyone working in the EdTech space in K-12. So if you do want to reach out to Troy, please do. He has the most amazing little dog called Mabel. We love dogs here on the ThingLink team. So yes, a big welcome to Troy. We are so pleased, as Amanda said, to see that the ThingLink family is growing. Yes, there's going to be more appointments, I'm sure, as we go throughout the year. So as we always do at the start of our webinars, we try and just quantify or qualify what we mean by immersive learning and what ThingLink is. So we know that there are some of you that are joining us today that maybe know and love ThingLink. There are some of you who have not maybe used ThingLink before. Our colleagues shared the invite with you. So we just try, and it's difficult to sometimes sum up, but essentially if you asked what ThingLink was in one sentence, this is our raison d'etre. This is what we really passionately believe about, and that is the easy creation of interactive learning experiences for greater impact. We want learning experiences for children, young people, learning at any age, to be the best that they could possibly be. And I can just see lots of people joining us. Welcome from Singapore and Rome and Portugal. Ukraine, welcome. But this sentence really sums it up. It's what we are all about. And this is our suite of tools in 2025. You've got your two main solutions, which are our ThingLink Multimedia Editor. This is the editor that's been around since ThingLink was born. It's only grown, and I've put there some of the use cases. So with the editor, you'll be able to create all of these types of experiences. And then you also have our AI-powered Scenario Builder. Scenario Builder 2.0 has just dropped. And this is where you can build those branched learning experiences. So you can use all of your ThingLinks and put them into a nice order and create questions and blocks and points and paths. We've also got a really big update to our XR headset apps. We have a native app for Pico, Apple Vision Pro, and MetaQuest headsets. And this week, we announced that you can now use scenarios in Meta headsets as well. So that's huge. Imagine people being able to pick a branch scenario and go through that scenario directly into their Meta headsets. So yes, we're really pleased to see those kinds of tools, as you rightly say, Amanda, just getting better. We've also got our AR app, and as some of you have been trying to experiment with all of these types of different apps and different types of experiences, you know that you can just mix and match them all together. You can have your AR app, you can have QR codes in there that are linked to other experiences. So it really is a whole suite of solutions. And as you know, we've kind of been really diving deeper into, you know, what does this mean at the end point for that particular person who's learning? And we want you to think about whether they're learning on a one-to-one type experience. Are they consuming that? Are they participating with it on their own? Or maybe that's in a class where you've got a teacher at the front on a touch screen, interactive panel. And then, of course, you can use the exact same experience on the VR headsets. And as you just heard, that's the high-end headsets, right the way through to some of the more known headsets in schools like Class VR. And now, of course, you have immersive spaces where you can use that same experience and have a shared experience with your colleagues so you can see their reactions, warts and all, in person. So that's just, we can't even think of other ways in which you can engage with ThingLink. We think we've got them all covered there. So I think that's a really nice time. Alan says he's got no audio. Alan, I'm not sure if you want to check if everyone else can hear me. I'm sure they can. Give a thumbs up. Yes, audio is on. Not quite sure, Alan, what's going on for you. If you want to maybe jump off and jump back on, sometimes that might be able to clear it for you. But what is immersive learning? So I'm going to ask Joseph, can you come in here and maybe help us to think a bit deeper about what immersive learning is?
Yeah, so immersive learning, in my experience, is when the learners, the children, they can have a shared learning experience where they have the content all around them. And so in what I did in the past is that we developed certain materials that the children could interact with in a kind of linear or non-linear way. It depends on however they want to do it together. But they enjoy learning together. And so they have the experience where if someone is doing something, they can all experience it together. You see the other people's reactions. The videos are very powerful. They capture their attention. They get the reactions, and they have this experience together. Oh, the audio's up now. Great.
Oh, yeah. And don't forget, Alan, you'll be able to go re-watch the start of this as well, so you don't miss anything. So, yeah, I love that it is that kind of whole immersive experience where you can have that as a shared experience, but also the immersive nature is where it's multimodal. And I think AI has afforded us this opportunity to be able to create that kind of 360 experience, for that 360 images or 360 videos. And we weren't able to do this so easily before. So AI has actually democratized that ability to do it, and it's opened up a whole new world of possibilities. But I love this experience of having things that you can see and hear and connect with and see the smiles and see the kind of, you know, it's almost could be smell-o-vision. That's the only thing that's missing, isn't it? But maybe you could recreate that if you had I don't know, the smell of a bakery and you were in an immersive bakery. You could actually try and recreate that, couldn't you?
I've actually seen this. I've seen this in the commercial space, whereby people who are giving maybe kind of demonstrations. There's a very famous fair here in Italy called Vinitaly. So it's with wine, and while they're tasting wine, they actually have different perfumes and smells and odors within the booth. Yeah,
I think this is the next challenge. So we're going to have to ask everyone to add some smells into their immersive learning experiences so we can get some nice ideas. There's a lovely quote that's just come in from Simon, and he says a big bonus of ThingLink and immersive learning is the asynchronous delivery, so that participants can self-pace, rewatch, jump back in again, watch when they have the time and the headspace. And I just love that. And it was actually Simon that said to me a couple of days ago, was it last week, that many schools and universities struggle with having a sticky campus. And that is where you want it to be really attractive enough, because through COVID, people were learning remotely. Maybe they've realized that they don't have to come in and watch a lecture. Maybe they can remotely view that now using Zoom. But are we recreating those wow moments that you really want people to come in and experience? And having these kinds of learning experiences can't be replicated, really, if you want to kind of have the smell-o-vision and that kind of immersive space. But you're right, it can be viewed anywhere, but having something that really kind of engages people is just something that's really going to help people to retain their enthusiasm for their school or their university.
Right. So one of the unexpected outcomes from the immersive spaces that we were installing is, our idea was that the teacher was going to kind of bring them during school hours with the entire class. But what ended up happening was they would do that, but then the students who were enrolled in the after school program, they would go back on their own or in smaller groups and re-watch and kind of live the experiences. So
Amazing.
Certainly the stickiness.
Yeah, and Simon's just put that in. Yes, he's just making sure that we know it's not glue related. So you and I, Joseph, and our other colleague Andreas, who's been on a webinar before, attended a webinar last week, which was held by the European SchoolNet. And a huge shout out, if they're watching, to Sarah Henkelman and Sampo Forstrom, who's been a member of our ThingLink Fam Jam for many years now. But they just put this on in their webinar, and I know it's not nice to have lots of text on a slide, but it's really interesting to see that it was the MIT that actually coined the term immersive learning in 2003. But the European SchoolNet have been seeing, and it was the title of their webinar, that immersive learning is transforming education for students and engagement in the digital age. And this was the title of their webinar. And I think that quote at the bottom really sums it up. It's about dynamic, interactive experiences and placing students in realistic, interactive environments. And it's that fostering of skills that can really support problem solving through active participation, experimentation, and retaining knowledge more effectively than traditional methods. And I think that's if you ever need anything to present to your colleagues back at school, you're welcome to use these slides as well. There's a nice quote there from Amanda, who's saying, neurodiverse learners who struggle to get into school and stay in school, and having ThingLink and immersive learning is crucial to support. And that's a great quote, Amanda. Thank you for sharing that. And of course, as we've talked about, immersive learning is not just about headsets, and people have often made a leap between immersive learning and virtual reality. And that's because, you know, that's the way that we were thinking about VR, you know, a few years ago, but obviously that's really changed with the ability to use different types of projectors and immersive spaces. And I know that you have seen, as you said, a growing demand for immersive spaces in your last role, Joseph. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that? And I can't not put this picture up of Claudia.
Yes, that is Claudia in the Miri room, which was the last project I worked on. And I think, you know, as I told you previously, there were some turning points. I think firstly was when people realized that you didn't have to convert actual spaces. So I think originally people thought you'd have to do custom projects everywhere, and then got quickly turned off by the costs and just the general headaches dealing with building permits and just the very kind of different nature that are within schools or different buildings. So once people realized that you could actually build like a semi permanent structure, that really got people kind of like thinking that, wow, we can actually install these and do something useful with them at scale. So that was a big kind of turning point. I've been presenting these for the last 3 years, and of course, the first time I presented it, we were the only ones at the educational fairs. And I just got back from Didacta in Italy here, and there were 6 different immersive spaces there. So wow. It's just exploding right now. Yeah.
And what I love about the idea is that it isn't just having the interactive experience that you can engage with for, say, that's a learning experience in its own right, but I've seen examples where, you've got a backdrop of being in nature, or you've got a backdrop and, there's actual evidence to suggest that these can have a calming effect on the students. So it's not just about the experience of what you're engaging with, but creating the right conducive conditions for learning.
Yeah, well, it's taking a field trip, but remaining within the same institution, right? So yeah. it still creates that moment where as a class we're doing this shared experience. So we're going to leave our normal classroom, we're going to go together, and we're going to have a new experience which is different than a traditional frontal lesson.
Amanda's just put there that one of our special education schools has a small room with 360 projectors to create immersive calming experiences. And there's something really nice about doing things in context as well. I was speaking with one university, and they were doing defibrillator training and resuscitation techniques. And they actually found that, to recreate having to do that in a busy nightclub scene, or to do that in the middle of a bustling street, or to do that actually recreates the kind of conditions again that you couldn't do. And they actually saw the physicality impact as well. So people having increased heart rates, they were actually seeing a heightened sense of emotion because of the environment that had been created, which made it for a more impactful experience.
Yeah, and the teacher trainer is right there with you, right? So as opposed to maybe just using headsets where you're there by yourself, here you've got everyone there with you. So
amazing. So of course we're just going to see more and more of these types of use cases, and more evidence hopefully grow, and we'll start collecting in the research and share it with everybody. But one thing we did want to focus on was the ability for student creation, and we put this as one of our learning outcomes as to from being a participant in this webinar. And I just wanted to sort of put this into a little bit of context. So here's a couple, I'm going to go back to this one. This is a couple of really nice student experiences that are things that you might do anyway, that you can elevate by turning them into immersive experiences for greater impact. And you've probably seen these before if you've listened to me evangelize about student creation. But I just love this one. This is Craig, who's one of our certified trainers. And his students had been recreating the story of Aslan, and they've done this in the shoebox as a diorama. And here you've got the children and the lion. That's Aslan the lion. Here's the children. Here's a student who's actually created this retelling of the scene from The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, or Narnia. And what really tickled me is that they even put a ball pit in there because the kids probably get bored easily. So they've really made this their own. But what's really nice about this experience is that Craig was able to put this idea as an immersive learning kind of elevated experience by putting the 360 camera in the project, the box, and then this of course can be shared on VR, it can be shared in an immersive space. And then, just another one here, who doesn't love, a shoebox project? And here we've got the shoebox project from Michael Fricano in Hawaii. And they've been able to put the hotspots in here. And here you've got someone demonstrating how they built the LED circuit in the shoebox, which is just fantastic when you see that can be shared with parents and carers, all of those aspects there as well. So when it comes to kind of creating these types of experiences, what are the processes that teachers can go through in guiding their learners to become creators of immersive experiences? And I thought this would be helpful. I'm just going to kind of make this bigger so you can see it. So I've got some other examples to show you, but imagine if you can flip the script, that instead of going on a field trip and students write the book, how about get them going by, starting a kind of ThingLink project, and Claudia's got some ideas she's going to share with you of how they could do that. And then coming on to, working together to develop a context, something that's relevant and relatable. Could be a physical visit. It could be developing their own branching scenario, developing their own role-play adventure game. It could be, how would you teach other students about the skills of knowing what to do in emergency, and they can try the right answer and see what happens when they get the answer wrong, maybe. So all of these tools now are available for students to do this. So coming up with the context and then working in pairs or group work to plan, design, maybe using your cooperative learning kind of methods like think, pair, share, or working in trios, or, doing big graffiti boards so that you can get everyone together to plan. And then you've got this kind of media collation, creating different types of media with AI. So there's some AI literacy in there, not just AI literacy, but AI fluency. So putting them into practice so it becomes second nature, not just understanding AI, but how it can be used in context. But also if they're creating those kinds of assets, like you saw with the storytelling, it doesn't need to be all media assets, but of course, the world's your oyster. But making sure that they're accessible as well by understanding the accessibility features in ThingLink, which then enables students to think, well, who's my audience? I don't know if the people viewing my content have accessibility requirements or not. So I just build it so that everyone can share my experience, whether they've got accessibility requirements or not, by making sure that whatever I'm producing, they understand they can use Immersive Reader with. They've maybe used the translation tools. They understand that it could be used with a screen reader. Maybe just even, having that multimodal where they're saying something in audio, presenting it in video, and having that in a tag. All of that helps to show their understanding of accessibility, but ensures the audience can engage with their content. And then, of course, the final step, or maybe it's the step in a cycle, is presenting in the various formats. So imagine, students being able to share their creations in an immersive learning space, and parents and carers come in and see it, or they can share it by link on the school website, embed it in the school website, or even put it on social media. All of these ways are available to people. Joseph, I know I've just waffled through that, but we talked about this earlier, and I'm sure Claudia's dying to put something in the chat.
Yeah, so it's about the shared experience in the creation of the material, but also the shared experience in the presentation. So I think that's one of also the really kind of highlights of having an immersive space, is that it also is at the the total use of the community. So not just for schools, but for when parents come, for open days, and for anyone in the community who wants to kind of present something in a new way. So it becomes like a sort of museum space where we do digital shared experiences.
Amazing. And Amanda's just putting in there, she's been showing secondary colleagues how she's been creating immersive experiences, showing the insights of human bodies, human hearts. A great idea. And another little comment there from Amanda, immersive spaces is the new portfolio to show competencies and skills. Brilliant. I know that you've got to drop off in a minute, Joseph. We've been lucky to have you for half an hour. I'm just going to sum up, but we'll be able to come back to Claudia's examples, but there was a really nice summary from the European SchoolNet for us to close on. So these are the conclusions that the European School European School Network webinar came to, and the presenters, to summarize that there are so many opportunities with immersive spaces and, of course, immersive learning experiences. And we've just summarized them there for you. So that's another good screenshot and slide if people want to take that away with them. But Joseph, welcome to the ThingLink team. Thank you for joining us here for this webinar, and we'll make sure that we invite you back to another webinar where we can spend the whole time with you talking more about immersive learning.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And I just want to add that I think, one of the most powerful aspects of the immersive learning space is the fact that they really help kind of level the playing field. We developed a bunch of lessons on geography because it's something that is studied here in 5th grade. And, what ends up happening in the classroom is a lot of students say, oh, I've been there, when they're introducing new regions, new geographies and things like that. And there's a part of the class that doesn't have that opportunity. So when you start creating in an immersive space and you give them the opportunity to go and do that virtual field trip all together, then it really does level the playing field. So I think it's just kind of like, the power of technology to kind of democratize certain opportunities. So thank you for having me, and I look forward to working with everyone.
You're welcome, and that's such a nice note to end on, leveling the playing field, and I think that's exactly what we've been trying to do. So thank you, Joseph. Take care, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. So what I was wanting to show you is that Claudia has created a really nice interactive resource. If you wanted to have that kind of starter activity with students, how do you get them started thinking about becoming creators, but also how do you have like a project which is not too overwhelming to start with, but also can combine some other apps that you might be using in your classrooms. And we know that Canva is much loved amongst many of our educators, and Canva and ThingLink can quite often be a perfect pairing when it comes to app smashing. So Claudia's idea, and feel free to post in the chat, Claudia, is why don't you develop some kind of science bulletin template that you could share with your students so that they could create their own kind of 2D images. And I know that you've put the link there as well that people can go into. So I'm just going to click on this. Amanda, you'll be able to click on this and go into it so that you can have an explore. So the idea is that once you've got your science bulletin here, then you would be able to ask students to create a ThingLink, and then you would be able to embed that with the QR code that could exemplify some of the research in their science bulletin. And it is just lovely. And if I go through the presentation right the way through to the end, you'll see this when we get there. I'm just going to hop through, giving all our secrets away now, that there is the actual example here that Claudia's created with the AI tool using Skybox and ThingLink to generate the 360 image. And then you've got the sequential life cycle of a butterfly. And I think this is just a really nice example, Claudia, to encourage students to think sequentially about how they can start adding in these types of media. And you've used this beautifully so that you can highlight all of the stages. And that's a great way to just have a starter activity. It could be a multimedia resume, it could be a portfolio, all of those kinds of things. So yeah, just a really, really nice example there to get you going. So the other examples, which we just really love. So we haven't just kind of spun this up. This was student creation was a process that was conceptualized by Stanford University. If you click on the link on this slide, it will take you to Stanford University's virtual field trips resource, and the whole resource here is dedicated to the power of students recreating their own virtual field trips. And what we love about these examples is, and it ties in beautifully, Simon, with geography, that students have been able to create these themselves. And what they've done is they've been able to assess these using a simple criteria about not just student feedback and the way that they present them, but are the tags in the right places? Are the tag icons relevant to, I think this is the one that actually really tickles me. So in this one, you've got a 360 image with
Hello,
video.
me and my buddy are going to talk to you about how mountains are made.
That's right.
That just really makes me giggle. I just love their voices. But the idea is they've got these arrows, the mountain going up this way. All of those things are really good indicators of how the young people, our learners, are using different types of media, how they're able to organize them in folders, how they're able to label them and put them together. So some really, really lovely ideas there. So please do go ahead and explore all of those types of resources there. Right, going back on to our nice slide deck here. There we go. So you might have seen, let's change the subject. Simon can almost smell the mountain. So if you went into your ThingLink account in the last couple of weeks, you will see a whole fresh new look. And Claudia's going to put a link on the screen to a ThingLink that was developed by another member of our team, Andreas. And it's just fabulous. And when you click on the link, it will take you to a complete walkthrough of every single part of the new interface. So you'll see this soon. This is our new AI feature. You can sign up for the beta now. And there'll also be a new Copilot coming. I'm going to demonstrate that to you in a minute. But yes, please do have a look and explore this ThingLink. Feel free to share that with your students. Feel free to share that with your colleagues. Share it everywhere in case anyone thought, it's looking a little bit different. It's not really that different. Amanda said the glow up happened as she was ThingLinking one day. Brilliant. Everything's still pretty much in the same place. It's just that it's got a really nice, fresh new look, and it's designed to be a little bit more intuitive. So do have a look at that ThingLink and feel free to share it with anyone and everyone. But the part of our glow up is that we want to start to be able to bring in new ways for you to generate your perfect base media, but also to use some of the AI tools. So I'm just going to go into a new tab here, and I'm going to go into my ThingLink account. And here's just a little kind of preview of some of the things that you'll be able to see. First of all, if you go into your media page and you hit the create button, you'll see that you've got your 6 types of media here. If you go into 360-degree image, the 360 library is now in here. It's not on the left-hand side. Someone asked this in the Facebook group earlier on. So I just want to make sure that you know you've got the 360 library there. It's got 360 videos, and it's even got some really nice AI created content. And you know what's even brilliant is that if you want to use any of these images, you can do, and you can see that they're categorized. Here's one on universe, which is obviously some AI generated images. If I go into that and click done, you can see if I click on the more actions, I can even download that image, and you can use it in Canva if you wanted to. So you know how you use Canva, and you maybe make some nice virtual tour front doors, or you want to use elements of it. You can use these images wherever you like. So there's no worry. You don't have to worry about copyright. They're all images that you can use, and that's how you download them. So going back into my ThingLink account, you can see here, I'm just going to click done, and I'm just going to go back into my ThingLink account and go to the home. Right, let's have a little tour of the AI features. So you can see here that you can generate a 2D image. You can also generate an immersive 360 image just from this tab too. And what I'm going to do very, very quickly is I am just going to paste some text in there. So now you can say, I want to generate an image of the Northern Lights, 4 tags that explain that phenomenon. I've just put the prompt in there. You can also attach a file in there directly. So imagine you had a nice overview of a historical place or some other information. And when I click the arrow now, it's going to generate that 360 image for me. And it's also going to generate my tags for me as well, all in one go. So now you can, with very little effort, create your images and your tags together in one place, and then you'll be able to use those in your experiences. Whilst I'm just waiting for that to spin up, always a live demonstration, taking your life in your hands, but I have faith and trust that it will work. What we also have, there we have, it's worked. So now you can see that I can regenerate that image. I can save it to my media, which means it'll be in your account page. I can continue editing, and you can see there I've got my tags, but can you see now as well, it's generated a recommendation of what that image could be that goes in my tag. I'm just going to remove myself from the screen so you can see it. You can also see now there's an interactive button here. Can you see that where the media files are? And if I click on this, it's going to generate the images for me to go into my tag. There we go. And you can keep generating images and media in here. And don't forget that you can also add in alt text to those media files as well. You can toggle them around, and I'm very impressed with my demonstration there. I think it just shows you how easy it is for you and your learners to be creators. Thank you, Helen, for joining us. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you for saying that. So that's just a really, really nice way that you'll be able to use your ThingLink new AI tools. So I thought that was a nice thing to show you. So I'm just going to go back up to the top level here again and show you that there's also a co-pilot here. So you won't have access to this at the moment, but you will get access to this in forthcoming. You can sign up for the beta access and we'll give it to you. So the co-pilot here is going to help you. You can ask questions of how to use ThingLinks. So for example, how do I set a visibility for a ThingLink scene? And then what other stumbling blocks do you find when you're creating things like escape rooms or challenges? And you might just want to use this to give you a bit of a structure for, say, an escape room. So I tried this earlier on, and I was suggesting, can you create a storyline for an escape room based on Harry Potter and maths for 12-year-olds. So I gave it a little bit of information. And when I used this, I just gave it some information. I had a bit more of a dialogue with it. And it created a storyline for me that helped me then to take the ideas, to use as prompts. And with very little effort, I was able to create a whole escape room for my learners. So yes, that's another nice tool for you there. So I'm just going to just show you some really nice examples, because Claudia had been using this with to great success. And one of the examples that Claudia made for us was all about the bees, and it's spring, so we should have some bee themes and nice spring themes to demonstrate. So Claudia created this 360 immersive experience using a sprawling honeycomb of intricate hexagons. And here we've got lots of information all about the bees. And Claudia's been able to put some links in there as well to other information sources. And then Claudia's used the transit tag to go through to another 360 scene where we've just got some nice context. Imagine what this would look like in an immersive space. Can you imagine learning about the bees in your beautiful immersive space? And what really makes me giggle, and if you've ever watched the Bee Lady on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook Reels, Claudia, you've even put some information in here about the bees. Is it number 8? No, it's not. Is it number 7?
This is how bees build their hive. They link their legs together and they make a little living chain of bees. These chains of bees are called festoons. And when bees are festooning like this, they're using their little bee bodies to warm up the space around them so that it's easier for them to build and repair the beeswax comb of their hive. It also makes it easier for me to scoop them up with my hands. And seeing the way that bees work together for the collective good of the colony makes every day another great day of saving the bees. This is how bees...
Cool. So that's in the slides if you want to go and explore it. Claudia's just put some great examples in there so that you can play around with those. Please do. And if you do come up with your own examples and you want us to share your examples, then just drop me an email and we'll be really happy to share them as well. So yes, that really did tickle me there. So it's not just the ThingLink multimedia editor that's had a glow up, it's also our scenario builder. So the ThingLink scenario builder up until now has been an amazing tool for you to upload information and create branching experiences. And I've just got a couple of examples that I thought would really highlight this. So if I go into my ThingLink account and go into my scenarios, I've been working with an organization just to sort of demo something. And here we've got a PowerPoint that we uploaded, and it was all about life-saving skills. And it produced this kind of knowledge-based scenario where the learners could pick a path and go through the content as a self-paced activity, but it grouped it in logical kind of content paths, so it wasn't overwhelming, so there wasn't a kind of overload. And then people can explore this on their own. It's all linked to the learning objectives that you set. And this was from one PowerPoint that was downloaded as a PDF, uploaded to the scenario builder, and then it produced this. And then you can go in and replace these images with ThingLinks that you can create with AI, just as you saw me do. So all of this is built into the scenario builder. So this is a kind of knowledge check tool. But what we've also done now is we've enabled the scenario builder to also create for you that scenario context, which could be a challenge. So now the scenario builder is using scenario-based learning to create a challenge where your learners can have choices and options as to how they go through that experience. It's based on failure-based learning, so people can see what the consequences would be of taking that. So I'm just going to go back into the scenario builder now and show you how you might do that. So first of all, you would add your scenario. So I'm just going to call this one test. click the create button, and now you see that this you might have seen before, and you've got templates as well. But when you go to create with AI, you can describe your learning experience. So I could be avoiding slips and trips and danger hazards. And you could do this for young people so that they could think about, danger hazards in the school. Why wouldn't we want to do this kind of learning activity for our students at the start of a year? And now we can suggest whether that's a linear experience, a branched experience, or a scenario-based learning activity, or even a gamified experience. So I'm going to click the scenario-based learning activity, and here we have create with AI, my learning objectives, my content areas. I'm going to hit the create button, and it's going to map out that scenario structure for me. And that was all from a text prompt. So I'm going to come out of that now and just go back into my presentation because I know that we'll be running out of time. Please do ask any questions if there's anything you want me to show you again. But just to kind of wrap up our other news, because it's super important, and that is the new ThingLink Trust Centre. So we've had information on our platform all about our security certifications. We have compliance with the highest level, which is the ISO 27001. And if you click on the link here, it will take you to our Trust Centre. And here is all the information you need to know in one handy place. So you can share this with colleagues. If your school is thinking about buying ThingLink as a school district account or your organization, and you need to have these checks and balances in place, then you can just send people to the Trust Centre, because all of the information will be there for them. And also, we have now, I'm pleased to say, nearly 50 ThingLink certified trainers. Claudia is one of our trainers. Simon, who was in the chat earlier on, is one of our certified trainers. And we would love you to sign up and become one of our certified trainers. If you click on the link in this, it will take you to a page which has the benefits. And I really want to emphasize that this isn't about just giving people free stuff. It's really, we want to invest in you as a trainer. We might be able to support your PD opportunities. We recently had people that came down to London, and we were able to support with travel costs so that they could share the experiences that they've been creating and the innovative ways in which they were using ThingLink. But also, as a trainer, if you want to monetize your training, you're welcome to do that. We can offer some free teacher accounts that you can give out as part of your training. If you want to create experiences and monetize them with Teachers Pay Teachers, those kinds of things, we would love to support you to do that as well. So this really is a program which is about celebrating you as a trainer and what more we can do to support you and the growing community. We have a lively Facebook group where we're always sharing our ideas, and we would love you to be part of that. Yes, Simon, 50 already and growing. And we would also love trainers to join us from other parts of the world as well. So you might just be the first trainer in your country, which would be quite an accolade. So I know that we're coming up to the end of our time. When you get your email out at the end of the webinar, you'll have a certificate of attendance. Please feel free to download this and use your editor of choice, where you can put your name in that and then have a record of attendance at this webinar if you'd like to keep that for your CPD records. And we have another webinar which is coming up on April the 2nd, which is going to be all about onboarding, because onboarding is not just for corporate businesses. We have onboarding for school communities to attract teachers, and onboarding starts before people start. So how can you create the perfect, seamless and effective onboarding process using ThingLink? And if you want to click on the link in this, you'll be able to sign up, watch live like you're doing now, or available on demand shortly afterwards. So all that's left to say, now that I'm on my own, I know that Claudia would be joining us if she could. She's desperately sorry that she's not here in person and she's only in the chat. But a big thank you to Claudia for handling the chat, this webinar. Thank all of you for joining us. I hope that's given you some ideas. You're always welcome to get in touch with us if there's anything else that we can do to support you and your use of ThingLink. So wherever you are, have a great rest of your day. Have a great evening. And we look forward to seeing you. It flew past. Amanda saying, yes, that was the quickest hour ever. And yes, we hope to see you again in the not too distant future. So safe travels and a safe journey home wherever you are. And we will speak to you again soon. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care and goodbye.